This is the Sport Fishing Championship.
Live this Saturday morning, 8 o'clock. It is early, and it is time for Lines In. Lines in the water for the CNSD White Marlin Tournament, Cabeza de Toro and Punta Cana, Dominican Republic. Robbie Floyd and Peter Miller here with you on this early Saturday morning. Peter, I'm ready for day 3 because we've been catching them on day 1 and day 2. Thursday and Friday started off in a big way. 41 white marlin caught on day 1. Follow that up with 27 on day 2.
Well, we've got a total of 74 billfish caught and released. The bite is fast and furious. The weather is looking great, and the guys must be tired, but they got this final day, and they have 1 hour less to fish today because they got to turn everything in and make sure that everyone's accounted for at the end of the day at 4 p.m.
Coming in a little bit earlier today, but taking off about the same time. That early morning bite, we saw it on day 1. Day 1, it was kind of a flurry early. Day 2, maybe not quite so much. We still saw some early catches.
You're right, Robbie. A lot of times you have a droll, dull spot during the day, and all of a sudden it lights up, and on day 1 it lit up pretty darn good. 45 billfish on day 1 and 29 billfish on day 2.
This is stop number 2 of the 11. You need to either fish the Gulf or the Atlantic. You got to get points, right? It's all about points to win that $1 million at the end of the rainbow, but you got to fish at least 3 events minimum, whether it is Gulf or Atlantic. The top 20 teams at each one of our stops receive points. We add our catch points, and we'll talk more about that as we go on. You add those catch points, and that's what will determine our champion, whoever has the most points at the end of the year. Here's where we are on the big map just below the U.S. down there right next to Puerto Rico, where we will finish our season. We're in the Dominican Republic. And look at, if you were watching our last week's show, you saw hundreds of miles in these circles. Now we're only seeing tens of miles in these circles.
They are hugging the shoreline, and they're catching blue marlin, white marlin, and sailfish all in the same area.
Big catches on day 1 in the DRV2. The same thing in Sisu. Really jumped up yesterday with 2 white marlin, but that blue marlin was the kicker. Now they're 1,225 points into this championship. Bandolera, another late runner yesterday with fresh air. So again, any of these guys still have a chance. You get in that flurry, especially if you can get into a couple of blue marlin, that is going to be huge today, Peter.
And then, of course, you got Y360 with the first blue marlin caught for the extra 100 points.
Now let's take a look at Sisu yesterday. Again, just outside that 10-mile ring. Team Sisu yesterday were hooked up. See the point valuations. The white marlin with 7 of those, 875 points, but the big point total comes from that one bluefish. That made the difference for them.
That blue marlin, correct. Bluefish, or we got those in the northeast. We're going to be focusing on the marlin.
It's early here too. It's earlier here in the central U.S. than it is on the east.
Yeah, that one's a little pointy. The other one has sharp teeth. We'll stick with the pointy ones.
Hey, we'll see bluefish up on the in the Atlantic, right?
You're not kidding. They use bluefish for bait up there. Nice and calm, rolling backwards. Light tackle.
Sisu yesterday, I think our 4th boat to catch a fish. Grace caught a couple. Punta, then Sisu were on the board.
Robbie, you see that squid chain teaser with the value on the end, almost kind of tangling at one point.
Over there on the right, you got to get that out of the way, right?
Kind of move your rod back and forth and avoid it, and that's what the skilled anglers can do. They're aware of it, all their surroundings.
That's just a possibility for a wrap-up.
Yep. Captain has control of the squid chain teasers up on the tower. You can pull it out of the water a little more.
Speaking of wrap-up, not caught up with your own bait or teasers, but getting caught up in that tail fin. But again, it's a big day here. It's our 3rd day. Yesterday was a huge one for our next team. As you see, the conditions much calmer than you would expect. You said this is a very calm day, but we do see some rolling, but it's not big waves.
It's more of a confused sea than it is rough. So you're always kind of bobbing around out there.
Here's that team that started off the day hot. I mean, the first 2 catches, Team Grace. Here we go.
Again, when you've got a white marlin fishery, these guys are so accustomed to catching and bringing them quickly. When you catch a blue, you heard them all screaming in the beginning.
This was yesterday, and I think even on the first day, on Thursday, we were talking about, hey, they're still tomorrow, right? Well, this was their tomorrow, and they started off as fast as you possibly could. Had a catch like 8:32, also at 9:25, so 2 within an hour.
Controlled chaos, if you will. Backing up, waves coming in the boat.
Big jumper.
Wow. Gorgeous jumps.
See that captain maneuvering that boat, all that white water, backing it up, trying to keep that tension on the lines.
Cambia. Does that mean change direction?
Yeah, I heard bien. I know that's good as well.
Well, he must have changed direction because that's good. That is a Buddy Davis 67. That is a beautiful platform.
Maybe he said cambia. Then maybe they're going to go to the bank after the Casa de Cambia. Places that exchange the money, and you're looking at money on the end of the line. The difference here between the Gulf event and this Dominican Republic event, that fish to be a legal catch has to go, the leader has to run all the way through that island. So, I mean, that's 20 feet. It's still a considerable distance, but you got to get her close.
Yeah, and I like the wind-on leaders quite a bit because you can reel the fish right up to the boat and make and cut the fish off really close. For those big fish, you got to lead them.
Not much slowing them down yesterday. Team Grace, you think they're inside that top 10, trying to move even higher today. There's your points as they take off this morning on the 3rd and final day. A lot of white marlins to be had, a few sailfish throughout the field, but a couple of blue marlins seem to be making the difference. We'll see if Sisu, Bandolero, and Fresh Air can keep the ball rolling, or can Y360 do what they did on that first day and catch that blue marlin and get things rolling in the right direction. We've got a lot more still ahead on the CNSD White Marlin Tournament.
SFC coverage of the CNSD White Marlin Tournament is brought to you by Salt Life, Seaholm Watches, and by Smith Optics.
Whether you like to ride the wind, find your secret cove, or reel them in. Plot your paradise with GPS Map Series from Garmin.
Yeah, baby! That's what I'm talking about!
Sport fishing anglers from around the world competing for $1 million. The Sport Fishing Championship on CBS Sports Network.
comes back to the water. This binding agent, this fluid history of connection. Past, present, and future, all tied together through this never-ending, unwavering force. We belong to a community of seekers, anglers, and everyone in between. For us, it's more than fishing, much more. It's who we are, who we were, and who we aspire to be. We are Smith.
SFC coverage of the CNSD White Marlin Tournament is brought to you by Invincible Boats, Centered Wellness, and by the Louisiana Office of Tourism.
Welcome back to the Sport Fishing Championship, the beautiful blue waters of the Dominican Republic. And again, the fishing grounds not too far off of that shoreline, typically less than 10 miles. If you're running 20, you're going twice as far than most. But again, Cabeza de Toro and Punta Cana is our host city, our host area this week. Sisu on top here on the third and final day. You look at the overall points, Bandolera not too far behind. It's the difference between about a blue, I wanted to say it again, a blue marlin, one white marlin. Now they jump into the lead. Again, things can happen this morning. Are they going to happen for Mi Gorda? The big one, they caught one yesterday. Let's take a look at what happened with Team Mi Gorda. Red's about to go in the water trying to drum them up. Let's see what they had to offer.
William Bostilla, the Wee White Marlin. Vamos. Ya, para otro ¡Limpio! ¡Acción! Vamos ahora, vamos, mírala aquí. Eso, déjame la voz. Uno solo, Jesús. Vamos. Ahí está tipiado. Quita la aguja. Ya lo vi. ¡Vámonos, muñeco! Baby.
I don't know why it's Mi Gorda. That guy's been hitting the gym. I mean, he was peppering that.
He definitely works out.
We did it, baby. Ready? On the board. Okay. Hey, everybody, people, it's coming fishing in Dominican Republic, baby.
You know,
Guys, we got the first word of the day. A little bit late, but we're going to get them others. Good job, guys. Good job.
feels like spring break over here.
I know. And I have no idea why that boat's Mi Gorda. Sea-Wish, another one of our teams. Again, we saw them on day one with a 3 white marlin. Day number 2, not as much. Actually did not have a qualified catch on day 2. Let's go on with Team Sea-Wish.
Suave, pero déjala ahí. Dale para atrás, Chili, dale para atrás, Chili, dale para atrás. Que coge los tres. Que cógele. Dale, cántala. Dale número. Síguelo, olvídate. Dale.
It's a beast of a boat they're on. They're on the Jared Bay 67.
45, ponle la tablita, papi, la tablita.
and the frantic action and losing that fish, the disgust, and you can't. Execution, I don't care what sport you're in. They talk about no matter how much you practice, how much you work at it, when it comes game time, you have to execute. We saw the problems there with Sea Wish. He's Peter Miller. I'm Robbie Floyd. And you've been there. You've done that before. You kind of got to shake it off because this is the last day. It's your last shot at this title.
Well, the nice thing, Robbie, when you're in the DR, you're always going to get some extra shots at fish because the bite is that fast and furious, and you go again from 0 to hero, and you can get a double, a triple 5 minutes later. If you're in the area where the fish are congregating, where they're eating, you're going to get more shots. This is the DR, guys. This is where it's at.
And it's beautiful in the Dominican Republic. And you know what else is cool? Is we've got a correspondent down there in the DR. Let's go on site with Site 1, Crystal Hall. Golly, look at that again. Blue skies, light wind, but how have the conditions changed for these anglers?
Well, you guys, it is gorgeous out here, but it is hot. There's no wind. And, compared to yesterday, same thing. The bite, fish weren't biting. So it'll be interesting today to see with this weather because it's hot out here.
Was there a key thing that they were talking about when they came off of the water? You get these guys back because they do go back and forth, unlike our last tournament in Venice where they stay out the entire 3 days. Was there a common theme when they came back on how the fishing was?
Yesterday they said they were all targeting the white marlin. I think a lot of the teams here went south in the Caribbean. There's a rock formation out here, and they were targeting the white marlin. And, maybe today they'll head north to the Atlantic to maybe target a blue marlin. There's a lot of fads out there, so maybe they'll change the game up and try to rack up some more points today.
Oh, Crystal, that sounds really good. I noticed a couple of guys missed a couple fish here and there. Did they talk about the ratios? Were they saying, oh, we were 100%, or we, 2 for 3, 3 for 4? Were they talking about some of those misses?
We don't like to talk about the misses up here.
That's great there. Hey, Crystal, thanks for everything you're doing. Get the scoop out there. Find out, did they go to the banana or the 3 rocks? We'll talk more about that as the show goes on. Thanks for joining us here on SportFishingChampionship.com. Now, as far as the fishing area, that's one thing, and we see everybody out there, but how they're fishing, you're going to see a common occurrence here in the DR.
This is where it all starts. Carnada.
Now, these would be dredges.
These are the dredges. They're rigged with, those are mullet on one side. We got ballyhoo on that side. They all have weighted chins. Yes, this is a beautiful shot right here of what the dredges look like underwater. So if you're a fish and you see that going by, you're coming up to inspect and attack. And if you can't get satisfaction, you're going to eat a bait. And now we got a bait ball right there, a bunch of pilchards kind of casually cruising around, probably a subsurface sargassum. And then we got some swimming mullet weighted chins, and this is what brings the fish to the yard. You've heard about milkshakes bringing the fish to the yard? This is mullet.
I have not heard quite that. But again, you see that bait ball, you see the dredge and how it resembles that bait ball, and that's what they'll be pulling through these massive boats throughout the day. Sisu's still in the lead. They just left about 18 minutes ago, heading out to their fishing grounds, or they're already out there. They're fishing. We'll see if they catch anything in our first catch of the day when we return to the SportFishingChampionship.com.
The Guy Harvey Ocean Foundation is honored to be the official charity of the Sports Fishing Championship. Through this partnership and the support of donors like you, future generations will enjoy and benefit from a naturally balanced ocean ecosystem. Our education programs, both in the classroom and online, bring to life the work needed to make sure we have clean oceans for decades to come. Join us today at www.ghof.org.
When you're serious, you are as excited to wake up for a 4 a.m. fishing trip as you were when you were a kid. It means winning 3 World Sailfish Championships. It means you know what you need and what you don't. being serious means seeking out the ultimate fishing machine, which is what Peter Miller has found in the unmatched handling, speed, and comfort of an Invincible.
It's the simple things, like spending a day at the beach, splashing in the water, playing in the sand, and creating sandcastle masterpieces. Rediscover fun and family on the beautiful white sand beaches of Gulf Shores and Orange Beach.
SFC coverage of the CNSD White Marlin Tournament is brought to you by Garmin, the Guy Harvey Ocean Foundation, and by St. Augustine in St. Johns County, Florida's historic coast.
Is it true we have no catch?
Yep, those are the conditions we're dealing with. While we're inside this studio, they get to bask in the glory that is the Dominican Republic of Mesa de Toro, Punta Cana, the CNSD White Marlin Tournament, stop number 2 of 11. As we take a look ahead with Smith Optics, you see not only will we go to the Gulf at Venice, we go to the White Marlin Tournament in the Dominican Republic. Next up, the NEFMA Blue Water Tournament next weekend. You can, of course, watch it on sportfishingchampionship.com, but also on CBS Sports Network that final day on Saturday live. Peter, you know, it's America's first city, but there's also big fish to be had there as well. I've been checking out the events we're going from Florida all the way up the coast and up the Atlantic. There's a lot of different varieties and different things we're going to be seeing this year. But today we're looking predominantly for what? White marlin?
I'm looking for blue marlin
right.
I'm out there, but the white marlin bite has definitely been a lot hotter, so it's kind of a little slow on the blue marlin side. But boy, if you get one, it'll catapult you right into the top echelon, and that's where you want to be in these big tournaments.
Sustituta, another one of our teams in there coming into this final day. Sustituta 9th in championship points.
Nice thing about these fish, Robbie, is that they're kind of graceful yet powerful, and it's not unreasonable to say you're going to get the release in 5 to 10 minutes.
Again, it says 10th, but it's a 3-way tie for 9th, I believe, between Liquid, Moonstruck, and Sustituta. We do have tiebreakers. Team Sisu, our leader, 1,225 points coming into this final day. And really, there was a big push yesterday that put them on top. They were second after day 1, but again, a big catch yesterday, 2 whites and 1 blue. That blue really pushed them over the limit.
It sure did. That's a lot of action right there. The 1 blue is separating them from the pack, and all it takes is 1 boat to catch 1 blue, and there's over 30 boats in that tournament, so it could happen.
Sisu with 5 white marlin on that first day, 2 the next day, so they didn't catch as many whites, but the blue marlin worth $350, the whites worth $125. You don't necessarily want to see that. If you're fun fishing, yeah, I'm okay with that.
He's doing that at 2 miles an hour. You see them when they're doing it at 60 miles an hour.
That billfish trying to say, I'm out of here. We're going to let you go, little buddy. I just need the leader up to the rod tip.
Fish ain't never give up.
All right, buddy. No funciona.
Again, Sisu with 2 whites and a blue marlin yesterday. We have our first fish on the board. Would you looky here? Catch alert, Grace released a white marlin just like yesterday. They started off hot with 2 fish. Today, the same thing. Our first catch only 19 minutes after putting the lines in the water.
That's right, and that gives them 3 whites and a blue. They're creeping up the leaderboard. We've got Sisu with 12.25, Bandolero with 8.75, Fresh Air 8.75, and Y360. They caught the first marlin of the tournament to get the bonus points for the SFC of 100 points, and they have 8.25, and Sin Prisa at 6.25.
Yeah, we haven't even mentioned that. That first blue marlin of the tournament gets an extra 100, and when we were looking at that, everybody was catching whites, and then here comes Y360, and they made a big leap. I asked you that question yesterday, would you go for whites, would you go for blues? You said definitely blues.
I'm a gambling man.
Hey, it's part of it. It's gambling. Hey, we're going to be in Biloxi not too long from now. You got to gamble. Roll the dice on this final day. Stick with us. We're on SportFishingChampionship.com.
A day out on the water could go great. Or it could have a few minor setbacks. Things could get rough. Or you could lose that $900 smartphone. Whatever the problem, Yugo provides unmatched premium protection for any water sports adventure. Yugo. To get yours, visit YugoWear.com or simply scan the QR code on the screen. And remember, just add water.
Yeah, baby! That's what I'm talking about!
Sport fishing anglers from around the world competing for $1 million. The Sport Fishing Championship on CBS Sports Network.
So, you want this, but you can't have it without this, or this, or this. Until now, introducing a new way to travel, intranationally. Get all that international charm without ever leaving the country. Right here in St. Augustine, Ponte Vedra. Get all that culture, all the cuisine from that culture. You're welcome. All the gram-worthy sites from that hashtag culture. It's right here at home. St. Augustine, Ponte Vedra. Travel intranationally.
Here we are in Punta Cana, Dominican Republic, fishing in the fertile waters, looking for blue marlin, white marlin predominantly, and of course, sailfish.
So you're saying it's healthy waters, fertile waters here on the Sport Fishing Championship.
Fertile.
We saw whales the other day. We've seen white marlin. We've seen sailfish. We've seen blue marlin. We've seen it all here in the CNSD White Marlin Tournament. And moving up now is Grace. 725 points, so they make a big move early. Another white marlin even, I mean, they're jumping inside that top 5. So again, you catch those fish early, then everybody can be chasing you. Don't do that 1 in a hand better than 2 in a bush. If I can see those fish out there, I want to catch them as quick as I possibly can.
1 in the hand, 2 in the bush. That is very well said, Robbie.
It's a hunting term.
That's a bold move, Cotton.
That is. Oh man, that's bad. Dodgeball reference. We will be on CBS Sports Network at the top of the hour. I'd like to thank everybody watching for SportFishingChampionship.com. We're in the Dominican Republic down on that southeastern tip. We heard Crystal Hall talk about how some of the anglers may be making their way up north a little bit, get more into the Atlantic side instead of the Caribbean side of the DR. Again, different depths, different currents, temperatures, and also how far out or in you go. We saw sailfish on the first day. We didn't see any sailfish yesterday. Those are still points. Maybe teams will go a little shallower and try and find those as well, Peter. What do you think?
Well, that's a good point. Look, we have 3 sailfish right now, and we have 3 blue marlin, but we have a ton. We have 69 whites right now. So it would behoove you not to target the white marlin.
Again, we're going to be with you all day that we can. But one thing that happens out on the water, it's not just about fishing. We hear their accidents do happen. And you see just how hard they're backing up that boat. And let's just say, I hear it didn't end well.
It's pretty low.
We are getting deep here on the Sport Fishing Championship, and do we have a man overboard or not? You can find out at the top of the hour on CBS Sports Network. On behalf of Peter Miller, I'm Robbie Floyd. They're catching them. Grace, they're moving up. We'll see if they can catch Sisu in a bit.
This has been a presentation of the Sport Fishing Championship.